giving out 2 flyers. It's an offshore.
No, you're talking to the deputy mayor of the town. You didn't get permission.
Where else do you creep along? Tucker, where do you live? Well, I can give you his name. His name is Tucker Gott. He's a YouTube sensation.
So paramotors are awesome. I think that's a fact that about 99% of us can all agree upon. However, there's always going to be a 1% that thinks they're the worst. They're loud, they're annoying, they're dangerous, they're a liability. And people that think like that, we tend to call Karens. In this video, I wanted to go through my archives and bring up my top 5 paramotor Karen moments. And the point of this video is to not put these people on blast. The point is that as a paramotor pilot, if you fly enough, it's inevitable that you're eventually going to run into someone who is irate about what you're doing. Before we get into this video, if you guys haven't been tuned in recently, we're doing a massive giveaway. I'm giving away my personal Parajet Maverick with a Moster 185. It's been in a lot of cool videos like the Dunkin' Donuts run. So the winner of the giveaway is going to get my personal paramotor, and not just that, if they aren't a pilot yet, they're going to get training with my friends at Aviator Paramotor. So this is a huge life-changing type prize. In order to enter, visit tuckergott.com. Every $5 spent on the web store until September 27th gets you 1 entry to win. We've got a bunch of cool new designs like the space design, the paracamping design, and the calculated risks in pursuit of maximum enjoyment. Check it out. Be sure to get entered as soon as this video is over. So let's go to interaction number 1. Way back in the day, there used to be this park that we were allowed to fly at. And there was a timeline where the township created a permit system basically to keep track of how many pilots were flying and to limit the number of pilots. So one of the rules that they made was that only 4 pilots could be in the air at one time. We were okay with this. It was a good compromise between the town and ourselves at the time. So we went through the hoops to all get permits, and we followed the rules to a T. And on this particular night, we all took off and basically vacated the area, like we should, to be the most respectful, had a nice hour-long flight, came back to the area, and glided back in for a nice quiet landing. However, this wasn't quite enough for Karen number 1. Karen number 1 is a local neighbor and was quite irate about us flying. Apparently there was a misunderstanding in the number of pilots that were allowed to fly at once. Karen thought only 2 pilots were allowed to fly when in reality 4 are allowed to fly.
At a time. 4.
It is 4.
2 permits given out 2 flyers. It's an offshore. No.
It's 4.
The permit says 4 people.
In this situation, we just tried to be respectful and try to inform Karen that it wasn't a big deal. That didn't go over too well. And interestingly enough, as we were still packing up, the state police rolled up. I turned my lights on so that they could see we were the paramotor pilots so they could come talk to us. And the police just made a lap around the parking lot and left. I got it.
What?
I got it. God damn it.
Police always get high.
Maybe he's not here for us.
While remaining silent and with the lights off, we were able to successfully avoid the wild New Jersey State Police.
I literally turned the lights on so he could see the paramotor. That's awkward. On to Karen number 2. Now this is a video I have posted a while back on my channel. The story behind this one was a similar situation where we used to be able to fly at this park. Now they've banned flying there because of Karens like this. Anyway, I took off to go fly around a balloon fest and took off and vacated the area like a responsible paramotor pilot would do, but a local neighbor was pissed off about this. Karen rolled up very aggressively in his Ford pickup truck and tried to block in my girlfriend at the time from getting out of the parking lot. She swerved around him, got on the road, and he pursued in a road rage incident, screamed at the window, and then left. In this situation, the police were called as well. The police ended up arriving at a different park because I landed somewhere else to avoid any more interactions with this irate Karen. The police were cool in this situation. They documented everything. They realized that we were doing nothing wrong. They did speak to the Karen and asked him to calm down, but that was about it. On to interaction number 3. Slightly after this first incident at this specific park, there was another incident I never posted about because it was kind of weird. We took off from this park, which we at the time were legally allowed to do, had a nice flight around the fields, and then I noticed a particular pickup truck sitting in a field. I had this moment where I knew I was looking at them and they were looking at me, and it was kind of awkward. I assumed it maybe would be a farmer, so I kind of left the area, gained some altitude, and just kept an eye on this truck. And oddly enough, I watched this truck pretty much stalk us throughout the entire flight. I climbed to altitude so I could basically be eyes in the sky watching this truck. And I watched him go out onto the main road, make a turn, pull into a development, realize it was a dead end, turn around, weave around multiple other roads, and then eventually pull into the park that we were flying from. I made sure my GoPro was rolling because I anticipated something was going to happen. The truck had parked right next to me, so I came in for a landing, and my buddy Jeff and I were both on the same page. We thought for sure, this guy is pissed off, he's going to say something.
That was neat.
That was awesome. It's a little rowdy at first, but we have company.
Yeah, I know. I'm curious. How's it going?
I love you guys so much.
These guys love watching you. Okay, guys, have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
Okay, guys, come on. Somebody in.
Did you see him the whole time?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was sitting out there.
In the field.
I think he knew I was watching him.
Yeah.
I wonder if the police are gonna show up. Like,
Yeah, with excitement.
what was that all about?
I know.
He just like pulled in here
Yeah.
and then pulled in over there and then left.
This whole situation was super weird because they legit followed us, and I thought they were going to say something and they said nothing. I also really love this clip because my good buddy Jeff is in it. On to interaction number 4. This interaction happened at a completely different park that I don't think I've ever made a video from. It was a park that we started flying from and only got a couple flights in at until we unfortunately got kicked out from this occurrence. So a couple of us set up at this park, which we are legally allowed to do. As an FAR 103 ultralight recreational vehicle, we are allowed to operate from specific airports and public parks and areas like that, so long as there is not an actual local ordinance against it, and in this case there wasn't. We'd done a few flights from this park already, so we figured there was no issue tonight. However, that wasn't the case. A couple of my friends took off and I was the last one to launch, but before I could get in the air, the deputy mayor pulled up and was very irate.
How are you?
Good. Tell me you got permission from somebody to do this.
I don't think
No, you're talking to the deputy mayor of the town.
Okay.
You didn't get permission because I'm on the Parks and Rec committee and we control these fields.
Okay.
So you really should have talked to somebody before you did this.
Do we?
Like called the town.
Yeah.
And we just said, no, you can't do it off our fields.
Why else is that?
Because if you get hurt, you sue the town.
His point was that we should have sought permission ahead of time, which isn't necessary, and if we asked permission, we wouldn't have been granted permission, but that's based off of nothing. There is no ordinance, there is no reason why we would not be able to fly from here. Regardless, I was polite and tried to explain to him some of the regulations, and he unfortunately didn't really want to hear it. Even though there was no legal grounds for him to kick us out, he wanted me to text all of the friends and tell them to come in and land, which I did.
Anyway.
Get you guys down safely.
Yeah. Yeah, if you can get them down and, you know, we don't want to be out there and have guys landing outside. I understand. It looks like a hell of a lot of fun. Right? You know, I've done aerobatic flight, tail draggers, you name it. I understand flying a hang glider when I was younger. Mm-hmm. You know, so I know. Yeah.
Everyone came in, we left, and we ended up flying from a different site. On to the final interaction. So this one happened most recently. And the story behind this one is that there's a local airport that I have full permission to fly from, even though I don't even need permission. On this night, I had hung out a little bit after sunset, was just staring at the stars and hanging out, and this irate Karen approached and started yelling at me. His first approach was that I was trespassing, which is completely not legitimate. I was at a public airport that does not have hours of operation. It doesn't close, so there is no such thing as trespassing.
Tucker, right now I'm telling you you're on private property that you do not have permission to walk at. Where else do you creep along? Seriously, where else do you creep along?
But the trespassing really wasn't the issue, as this Karen actually threatened to shoot me out of the sky if I flew anywhere near his neighboring home again. At that point, I pulled out my camera, because that is actually a threat of murder.
With the that you do.
In the shooting part?
When you fly over somebody's house without permission like that at a low altitude and endanger other people, you are a threat to me and my family. Tucker, if you
On
get
record?
any closer to me, my son,
perfect.
my house, I will be forced to defend.
Regardless, I was polite, and when I realized that the conversation was going nowhere, I said, "It's okay, I'll leave, and we'll deal with it another day." On my way out, Karen calls up the police.
Well, I can give you his name. His name is Tucker Gott. He's a YouTube sensation.
Hell yeah.
Thinks he has a right to be here. He's trespassing.
I said, "No problem, I'll wait for the police to arrive. I have no problem talking to him because I'm not doing anything wrong."
Tucker, where's your airplane? Tucker, where do you live? Tucker Gott. Why are you trespassing? Why are you here, man? You got no airplane here? You don't live here? Why are you here? You go mute all of a sudden? Why are you here? You picking around other people's airplanes? You picking around the buildings? What are you doing?
The police arrived and, I guess in an attempt to defuse the situation, just asked me to go home. Even though the police weren't educated on the situation, they had no legal reason to ask me to leave because I wasn't trespassing. So the whole situation was just kind of awkward. I guess my takeaway from all of these situations is that unfortunately, that 1% is always going to be mad. Unfortunately, there is kind of a common trend here where a lot of our local flying sites have been shut down due to specific individuals getting angry. And that's the unfortunate reality, is that there's that 1% that's the loudest. What I found in my experience is, unfortunately, the biggest danger to the sport of paramotoring is local ordinances or local townships putting in ordinances that prevent you from flying from certain sites. And it's always because there's that 1% that's upset. My best course of action to avoid those situations is don't have too many pilots flying from one site at the same time. And in any case, take off from the site and leave the area so that you don't make too much noise in one spot. Then, if these situations do happen, try to be polite, try to be respectful. That's all I've got for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed the 5 Karen moments. But now that the video is over, be sure to check out tuckergott.com, check out the new designs, place an order. Every $5 spent gets you 1 entry to win the Parajet Maverick and the Training with Aviator Paramotor. Appreciate you guys. Till the next one, have fun, fly safe, peace. Zhup.